It's Chords and Coffee, and I'm here with my buddy Mike.
Hi, everybody.
Mike, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me again, my friend.
Fun to play with you.
Always a delight.
Had another friend call me up the other day and
On the
say,
phone?
yeah, and
You talk to him?
well, yeah. I mean, folks can call us. You can call us right now. I mean, stop what you're doing. 417-882-7000. Call. Ask for Mike. Ask for Nate. If
I'm
we're not
answering
there,
one way or the other.
Somebody will take a message and we will call you back.
Exactly right.
A little infomercial. But somebody called me up the other day and they said, hey, this may be a dumb question, by the way, no such thing. They said, what does it mean when you talk about playing over the changes? That's a great question. And so we're going to talk about that today. Essentially what that means is if you look at a song and the structure of a song as, you know, first of all, there's sound, there's silence and intention, okay?
Yes.
That's like the foundation of it. And then the next step up is you're gonna have melody, harmony, and rhythm, right? And if you're talking about the changes, well, that is the harmony in rhythm as it's moving by, as the melody's bouncing on top of it. And when you play with the changes or over the changes or play the changes, any kind of vernacular like that, what that's meaning is that as a guitar player, when it's your time to solo, you're going to play in such a way where you're outlining those changes so that the ear says, oh, I hear those. And maybe Joe Blow listener or you know, Susie Q, you know, passerby doesn't actually know that, but what they hear is they hear kind of the harmonic structure and they hear kind of the form of the song in what you're soloing.
Yeah.
And that's different than just playing one scale like a pentatonic scale the whole time. Is it better? No. It's just different, right? Because sometimes shredding a pentatonic scale is exactly where it's at, right? As I'm pouring this coffee here, Mike, do you have any quick thoughts on that before we just launch into this?
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it is fun and easy to just rock out on some of those scales and kind of get just real in depth with the tone and the attitude and the bends. But yeah, you can get more melodic than you can just fast and scaly. I mean, it's all got its place.
Yeah,
it's just about how you apply it. So it's just another tool of application, another paintbrush, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times too, when you're playing these arpeggios, because that's really what we're doing, and I'm going to show you some here in just a second, is that because of the leaps of the notes, like you're going from the 1 to the 3 to the 5 or to the major 7 or whatever, because of the leaps of those intervals, it starts to sort of sound like a melody. And even like on accident, you can like sort of build a counter melody just by doing these changes. So without further ado, let me just give you some examples here. So let's just take some familiar chords first of all. So if I'm just playing like a G and a C, for example, 1 and 4, key G, right? Good old Mike here, just so we're on the same page, because you might be saying, well, I still don't know what you're talking about. What's the difference? So Mike's going to play like an E minor pentatonic scale up here on the 12th fret. And I'm just going to play these two chords here so you can hear what's going on. And then we'll switch and I'll play over the changes, right? So here's a G. And like a good guitar player and musician, Mike is listening first to see what is happening. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Now, Mike, take over and I'll play the changes.
Beautiful, yeah.
So the difference, and by the way, you know, that kind of thing, as we're getting this in our hands, Again, we're not talking about it either go left or go right here. We're talking about this is just another spice in your cabinet.
But it also looked like too, from just the observation point of view, you were up in the 12th fret E minor pentatonic range. You found the E minor pentatonic range around the 7 to 10 area. I mean, you were kind of dancing through those, but also, to me, it looked like you were hitting parts of shapes of chords while you were finding those melodies through there.
Do you see how good I poured that coffee?
I was impressed of many things. Your guitar playing, your coffee pouring. There's usually a few more drops and spills on this table. It may not translate to the camera, friends, but...
well, we got new coffee filters.
See? Yeah. It's about the tool for the job. Guitars or filters.
Hey, look at this. I already got some on the old charts. Okay, so real quick, let me give you those chords really quick, and then I'm going to show you what I was using to outline. So first of all, just make sure we're on the same page. Good old-fashioned G major. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on some of these chords. So you can see that there on the screen. And then we're going to C, to good old-fashioned, more than words G, to that C, and it's really like a C add 9, right? And then, but when I started kind of noodling around, I'll get to this in just a second, but the first place, think of this like sort of like in the Jimmy territory, where he's using that F shape, where you got your index finger on the 3rd fret of the high E and the B, and you got your middle finger on the 4th fret of the G, and then your ring fingers on the 5th fret of the D, right? And if I go from there, I'm already kind of right here. Because you just said something a second ago, not this guy, right?
Oh yeah, the major 7.
Yeah. So you just said, Mike said something a second ago. It looked like you were up here. The whole point of all this stuff is that the more you learn the neck of the guitar, the more you learn everything is overlapping and touching.
Oh yeah.
All the sounds that you're looking for, typically, if they're not neighbors, they have enough of a relationship where they can drive to one another's house and make for a better melody, a better song, better playing, right?
Yeah.
So they're close by is what I'm saying. So index finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the A. That's going to go all the way to the high E. And then you're going to have your ring finger on the 5th fret of the D. Middle finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the G. Pinky is going to be on the 5th fret of the B. That's a C major 7. Now, I'm looking at this so I don't get off track. When I got up in here, I started adding a little bit of major 7 to the G chord, even though you weren't playing it, which is also, that's kind of the person who's, the soloist, that's their prerogative to add some colors that are maybe not present in the harmony. Even though you're like, well, is that playing over the changes or is that forcing a change? Little column A, little column B. And that's good to have in your toolkit.
Yeah.
So here's a G major 7 way up here. This is going to be index finger on the 7th fret of the G, the B, and the high E. And then you can put your ring finger on the 10th fret of the A and your middle finger on the D string of the 9th fret. Now, some folks will have you do your pinky there on the A string, but if you leave your pinky open, you have it free to do these little soulful activities. And that's kind of a kind of neo-soul territory, when it gets in that kind of thing. And then I went to this C major 7 right here, index finger on the 7th fret of the high E, middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and then ring finger on the 9th fret of the D, and then, of the G, excuse me, and then pinky here on the 10th fret of the D.
And I love how chord relations work like that too, because when I see that too, you're also basically playing the G chord in a sense.
Yep.
That just ties into you're just adding that extra root of the C to kind of change it from the G to that. And I geek out on this stuff. I love how they just one note off and you call the root note something different and it becomes, I don't know, so neat.
No, that's beautiful. No, it's great. I'm glad you said it.
It's really
cool.
You
see what Mike's talking about.
Yeah.
He's talking about, so imagine a D chord, but you slide it up here to the 7th fret where your index finger is on the 7th fret of the G string, and then your ring finger's on the 8th fret of the B, and then your middle finger is on the 7th fret of the high E. And that, if you go back to that C major 7, you can kind of see how, like what you're saying, it's tucked in there.
Yeah, you're doing
touching.
it.
They're neighbors.
They're the neighbors, yeah. They're coming over for coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Hanging out by the fire pit at the end of the night.
Well, and as a matter of fact, on that same shape, I was doing that shape here. Okay, and so if you make that same D chord shape, but it's a G, and then we're gonna put our pinky up here on the 10th fret, right? And again, it's still kind of in this same area. Pinky's gonna be on the 10th fret of the high E, middle finger's gonna be on the 8th fret of the B string, and then the index is gonna be on the G string of the 7th fret. That same shape, if you slide it up here, There's your C major.
There's your C version of it right there, yeah.
Right? And then come back here and grab that third. Now you might be saying, okay, well, that's all well and good. By the way, that was on the 12th fret of the G, 13th fret of the B, and then the high E is the 15th fret. You might be saying now, it's like, well, Nate, how do I know which notes to play? Drink you a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That's, honestly, that's the kind of thing where, two approaches I'll give you real quick. One is to just tell yourself the truth, which is there are no wrong notes, especially if I'm playing a C major triad, 1, 3, 5, those notes over a C chord. I mean, that's just like saying, does blue go with blue? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks great, right?
I'm wearing blue right now. It
Boom.
feels good.
Excuse me. But the deal is that you have to kind of hunt around and find something. But I would also say this, is that rhythmically, if your phrasing rhythmically is strong, your notes are kind of backseat to that. So when you have strong rhythmic phrasing, well, what do I mean? Well, I mean, if instead of, if you're just going, that's okay, but it might be better to, depending on the situation. So if you're hunting around and trying to find a phrase that sounds like something somebody might actually sing, that's usually you're in the right neck of the woods. But also, if you're trying to find something that sounds a little bit like a hook, or it sounds like something, or it's a little bit familiar, every great song, every great melody, the first thing somebody says is, I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's how
What
you
is that?
Right.
I've heard that, right?
Exactly. That's how you're starting to know you're on the right track. I mean, Paul McCartney dreamed yesterday, right? Scrambled eggs, what he called it.
What is this? I've heard this, right?
And he's like, and he could have swore he heard it.
Whose is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and you could argue maybe it already exists at that point, and you're just sort of pulling it out of the atmosphere, getting kind of a download from heaven, right? But that's the first thing we'll look at. So let me give you a couple other quick shapes. So when we're here in this G major 7 shape I just gave you a second ago, and then the C major 7, there's also a really nice one right here. And this is index finger on the 8th fret of the low E, and then you have your ring finger on the 9th fret of the D. I'm skipping the A. Pinky's gonna be on the 9th fret of the G, and then your middle finger's gonna be on the 8th fret of the B. That little C major 7 shape right there. And I can't help it, I keep thinking about, we're so close to Gravity, John Mayer, right? And in that kind of situation, let me just give you these chords really quick, and then I want to show you, because this is a great example of these changes. The more specific the changes of a song get, the easier it is to play over the changes. The more open they are, like when you just have 2 chords, you almost have to start kind of implying some other things that aren't there.
You got a lot of space, but you got to create what to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you take a song like Gravity, where there are some specificity to the changes, it actually gets a little easier. And I think after this, we'll do a blues. And in the blues, that's a game changer. But real quick, let me just give you these chords super fast. So we already looked at that G that's right here. It's kind of the good old-fashioned kind of Hendrixy, G. Throw your thumb around there if you want. So then to this sort of Hendrixy C here. And when you're on this C here, it's a C over E, really. The index finger's on the 5th fret of the D, the G, and the B, and you have your ring finger on the 7th fret of the low E. When you're here, you can't help it. Speaking of playing the changes, you kind of want to insert this A minor, that kind of thing. Where you're basically playing an A minor pentatonic scale, right? And you're just doing that on the A string and the D string, and then back to that G.
Cool.
Yeah. And then when it gets to the little, twice as much, right? This is an A minor, but really what is happening is twice as much. It's really an A minor 9 with the melody. Yeah, and how do you do that? Well, that's gonna be index fingers on the D, the G, and the B, open A, and your pinkies on the B note of the 7th fret of the high E. Resolves, ain't twice as good. And then, if you play that again, that melody, you make basically like a D13 to a D9. I know these aren't exactly right, but this is kind of how I hear it, right? Pretty dang close, though. Okay,
Sounds good to me, but
all right, so you got your middle finger on the A string, Your index finger of the 5th fret, sorry, middle finger, A string, 5th fret, index finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D. Your ring finger is going to be laying on the G, the B, and the high E, the 5th fret, with your pinky on the 7th fret of the high E, hitting that B note, resolving to the A note on the 5th fret of the high E. And then you get to this. I was watching, I think Marty Schwartz calls this, it's like an inversion of a G minor, and he's right. But I think of this as a B flat 6, which is kind of the same thing. It's a B flat with a G in it. And so I've got my index finger on the 5th fret of the D string. I've got my ring finger on the 7th fret of the G. My pinky is going to be on the 10th fret, or the 8th fret, sorry, 8th fret of the B. And then my middle finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the low E, skipping the A altogether. And then when you go to this E flat major 7, this is an awesome move by Mr. Mayer. He just moves his middle finger down to the E flat, so to the A string of the 8th fret, or 6th fret, sorry. And then down to this D7. And you need that F sharp to pull us back to G, right? And this is going to be index finger on the 5th fret of the A string all the way to the high E. Your ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D. Pinky's going to be on the 7th fret of the B. Then we're back to the G. So if you're playing over those changes, right? So first of all, let's just play just the scale over this. So if I've got, so you could still play E minor pentatonic over this. Mike, go ahead. Now at this point, when it switches to B flat, G minor pentatonic. Ooh, yeah. Keep going. Nice. Then back to that E minor pentatonic. Right? And that's just 2 pentatonic scales, right? And that G minor sounded fire over that, right?
That was really cool.
Yeah. So, or you could play the changes when I get to this. So, Mike, so give me the A minor to the D9. So on the A minor, I still would like to play the. And then when it goes to the D9, on the D9, I could play like a D7, like this shape right here, and I could outline this. Yeah, so play me like just like maybe let's go like A minor. Yeah. Right? Do it one more time. You get the idea. There, basically, I'm just playing over those. And then when you go to this thing here, this guy, on that shape where you got your, we've got this B flat thing. I would still do what Mike did a second ago, where I would just maybe go down to G minor. Here's a graphic of a G minor pentatonic, but we'll add the 9th to it. So you have the over that. Just sounds absolutely gorgeous, right?
That's super cool.
Yeah. So try that. So it's just a G minor pentatonic, but add the A here and here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, lovely, right? And then when you get to the E flat, you could at that point also outline. In fact, check it out. You could go from this E flat major 7 shape, which I'm going to be here on the 6th fret of the A, and then I'm going to go to the 5th fret of the D. What does this look like? Well, it looks like a G minor over E flat, which is what an E flat major 7 is, and he's just playing the G minor pentatonic. You see how this stuff's all working together. And so I'm going to outline this E flat to this G, and then hit my index finger on the 3rd fret of the G, the B, and the high E. And then maybe to this guy. And then this is classic E flat major 7 shape, index finger here on the 6th fret of the A, ring finger on the 8th fret of the D, middle finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the G, pinky's going to be on the 8th fret of the B, index finger is going to hit this 6th fret of the, I always feel like an auctioneer, 6th fret
You're about there, brother.
And then if I come up here to this guy, like, to this D, so if I'm like, let's see, over that E flat major 7. What's nice about that is that, and again, I'm shooting up here for this E flat major 7, this shape right here with 10 on the high E, 11 on the B, G is 12, pinky is on the D string of the 13th. If I'm aiming for that shape, then I'm already right here for this D that we did just a second ago, this D7 shape. So you might be saying right now, well, Nate, good Lord, how am I supposed to piece all that together?
Good Lord, Nate. How? Tell him how.
Well, you're gonna one thing at a time, right? So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna want to start to think about chords and songs as chords have these little melodies that are sort of tucked away inside of them. And when you're looking at a song and you're looking at the chords, you ought to start to train yourself to see what are the opportunities. And the only way to really do that, I mean, the best way is to find a guitar buddy and to sit here and to play back and forth and have somebody encourage you. The next best way is to record yourself. I do this all the time. I record myself on my phone, and I will like either as a voice memo, and I'll just kind of play, and then I'll play on top of that, or I'll record myself playing with the metronome so that I can listen to it and I'll forget about it, and I'll try to anyway, and then I'll come back a few weeks later or even a few days later and I'll listen to it and I'll see if I can hear the changes that I'm outlining, and then be honest with yourself and also be merciful with yourself.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we beat each other up too much. And ourselves up.
And ourselves up, especially.
That's what I meant to say, but both are true.
Yeah. Don't beat up your guitar buddy. He won't be your buddy for long.
Over a blues is you want to emphasize the third and you want to emphasize the dominant 7, right? As soon as you introduce the third, all of a sudden it's like, whoa! It's like exactly. And what's really nice about that is that as soon as in a dominant 7, and we've talked about this at length in several different Chords and Coffee episodes, but in a blues where the dominant 7 is the greatest point of resolution, you can have the major third and the minor third coexisting. And if you think that's crazy talk, or buddy Dave Grissom calls it the Americana scale, right? And you should go watch that video where he actually dives into this too, but it's a pretty normal thing. Chuck Berry did it, Keith Richards did it. Everybody who's got rock and roll in their blood does it, and you will too, okay? So introducing the major third and the minor third, shaking hands in a blues.
They're friends.
They're friends, right. In a blues they are anyway.
Yeah.
So here's a really cool grip. Check this out. Index finger, we're gonna do this in A, like Crossroads blues, right? Okay. Index finger is gonna be on the 4th fret of the A, pinky's gonna be on the 7th fret of the D. Okay, so you've got, that's your major third and your 1, right? Here's what's awesome, do the exact same thing next 2 strings over, right? I'm a little out of tune here, but let's see if I can. Okay. You got 4th fret of the D, 5th fret of the G, right? So that's your 3-1 for your 4 chord, your D chord. Now here's what's neat. Same thing, but a little shorter stretch. Right here, you're gonna have your index finger on the 5th fret of the G, and then your pinky or your middle, whatever you like, or your ring, I should say, not your middle, that'd be mean. Pinky or ring finger on the 7th fret of the B. And now that is your flat 7 and your third, right? And then the same thing, you can slide that up for the E, right? And that's gonna be index finger here on the 7th fret of the G, and then pinky or ring on the 9th fret of the B. Slide that down here. And then if you want to go to the A, here is a, I'm sliding from this fifth fret of the third string, the fifth fret of the G, right up here to this, it's like a minor third to the major third, and then I'm hitting I might hit the fifth here, which is going to be the E, and that's going to be on the fifth fret of the B, and then if you want that dominant 7, that's going to be right here on the 8th fret of the B. And if I just go. And you can see how that starts to outline those changes. Really nice. So try using that over a blues in addition to, you got your in blues and A, you could come out of the gate if you really wanted to reinforce that major tonality with an F sharp minor pentatonic. So a pentatonic scale starting on the 2nd fret, right? And then if you want to hit that A minor pentatonic over that 4 chord, that's going to make it feel more dominant 7, 4 chord, right? And then start to insert some of those little changes there. You do it over a blues. If you can do it over a blues, and that means you can do it in a country song. If you can do it in a country song, that means you can do it in a funky song. If you can do it in a blues, in a country, and a funky song, you can just about do it anywhere, right? Because that's rock and roll.
That's rock and roll.
Right?
Exactly.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
What other questions do you have? This is like the little tiny little nodule of the tippity top of this iceberg.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Well, you've already added salt and pepper into the recipe, and there's this is some garlic. This is some turmeric. This is maybe some ginger. However you want to look at it. It's just another little seasoning on how you want to go about playing yourself.
Garlic, turmeric, and ginger.
It's a lot.
It's good for your gut, is what it sounds like.
It's good for your gut. Yeah,
that's right.
It'll clean you out. It'll feel
stuff
good.
will move right on through. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is what you want as you get older, and especially as you're playing these blues. And speaking of which,
you want your riffs to move on through, right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're living life the best we can and drinking coffee with a guitar in our hand.
That's
and
right.
This is my buddy Mike, and I hope this was helpful to you. Your comments, your questions, when you reach out to us either by phone or filling out the comment section of YouTube, that's what fuels the fire of these Chords and Coffees, and we rely on that, and we're grateful for that, and we're grateful and thankful for the privilege of your time. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for another Chords and Coffee.